Talent Talk Tuesdays is all about harnessing your God-given talents to live with greater clarity, purpose, and joy. You are wonderfully made, my friends. May all we do be for God's glory. Hello and welcome. This is Talent Talk Tuesdays, and I'm your host, Lisa Mladinich. Today's episode is the third installment of my new 5-part series on purposeful self-care. To catch you up, just remember that purposeful self-care is selfless. It's got to be founded in virtue so it can draw us closer to God. So today we're looking at self-care for those of you with talents in the strategic thinking domain. Now, to review what the basic needs are of the strategic thinking domain, go back and listen to episode 19. It will help you lay a foundation for discerning and planning your own healthy and holy self-care. Okay, so remember that the Catechism of the Catholic Church tells us in paragraph 365 that we're a unity of body and soul, and there's a lot to contemplate there. So that means that caring for our souls and caring for our bodies honors God's design. Okay, self-neglect is not virtue. So before we go on to today's domain, strategic thinking, I'd like to remind everyone that no one is talented in just one domain. So please do consider all the domains that are expressed in at least your top 5 talents. Okay, and if any of this sounds like someone you love, do take notes for them. You'll be able to step into their world and help them to be healthier and happier as well. Okay, on to strategic thinking. This domain is primarily about fast, creative mental processing. Does that sound like you? The ability to see many options and pathways forward. These folks tend to be hungry for learning, for great conversations, and time to just think. Let's reflect on some verses from St. Paul for a few insights on how God sees this collection of thinking talents, which he has purposed for his glory and your joy. St. Paul writes in the letter to Romans 12, verse 2, "Do not conform yourselves to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and pleasing and perfect." Okay, here, that renewal of the mind, the discernment, and understanding how to please God. This is happening in our minds. It happens in our hearts too, but it happens in our minds in a big way. Okay, according to St. Paul, whoops, just banged something. Okay, so we always want to keep in mind that our talents were created by God. And he calls his creation very good in Genesis 1:31. Yet it all needs to be ordered toward God and redeemed by him. So with these thoughts in mind, I'm going to make some suggestions for purposeful self-care in the same categories as last week: the spiritual life, relationships, rest, diet, exercise, and play. And yes, please take notes. Not on just what I say. Notice that as I'm sharing my ideas, there are going to be things that are coming up for you. The Holy Spirit will help you draw closer to him in this, if you just kind of let him, invite him. All right, so let's start with self-care of your strategic thinking talents in the spiritual life. Now, strategic thinkers love to plan, so that gave me a few ideas. Number 1, plan your day with built-in prayer breaks. It's going to be energizing for you to make a plan for yourself, to stop and pray. The anticipation itself, once you know what's ahead at a certain time, that brings excitement. That's actually good care for your talents. And this clearly defined time period will even help you to focus on the task at hand. Okay, I'm going to pray from this time to that time. That's going to help you. Number 2, look to the liturgical year and plan the quarter ahead with appropriate devotions, including possibly a novena or a Marian consecration. Again, there's that planning, that futuristic sense that a lot of strategic thinkers have. Ooh, what's coming? What can I anticipate? What fits that time of year well? That'll be fun for you. Number 3, take a class. You're big learners, strategic thinking people. Take a class to build up your knowledge of an intriguing spiritual subject. I know so many people studying things like discernment of spirits, church history, sacred scripture, the catechism in a year, you name it. There's so many things that we could do, some of them free, some of them not, but there's lots we can be learning. That would be a lot of fun. Okay, number 4, consider volunteering to teach the faith at your parish. Many strategic thinkers are gifted and passionate teachers. So if the thought keeps occurring to you, bring it before the Lord. You might be called to really share some of that deep thinking and that love of the faith, the knowledge that you've been acquiring. And when you teach something, you have to keep learning. There's always something you have to find out to teach well, and you're going to love that learning and sharing. All right, so let's look at care of your relationships through strategic thinking. Okay? Number one, since your mind works really fast and your sudden insights can make people feel blindsided in discussions. This may sound like a negative, it's not. Any self-awareness helps you to be in better relationships. So yours works really fast. People won't always know how you came up with what you just came to the conclusion about. Okay, so take a moment to think from time to time how your thoughts move so quickly and connect the dots to go from one thought to another and then go, there it is. Okay. So once you kind of understand your own process, you can start to advocate for it and then present a little sketch of your mental process to others, keeping your comments brief and to the point. A lot of people who are high in the strategic thinking themes are also big talkers because they have so much that interests them. So you want to keep your comments brief and to the point. You don't want to fire hose people the way I do, and invite others to comment and share as well. That will strengthen your relationships because you'll be saying kind of the way my mind works. When this problem came up, or you said this, I thought that invites them in and it brings down their defenses. Okay. Remember, much more than your insightful brilliance, which you have plenty of, people mostly remember how you make them feel. Okay, so take care of your relationships. They're so important. You don't want to end up feeling lonely. All right, number two, if you're feeling shy in a social situation, I do this. Harness your learning capacity to draw others out in conversation. What person doesn't love to be listened to be known, to share what's important to them? Okay, you can ask them about their personal stories, their favorite activities, their family, their work, their health. Oh my goodness, do people love to talk about their health past a certain age? All right, everyone enjoys feeling that someone's interested and is truly listening. So do use your learner there, okay? Number three, here's a nice simple pleasure for you. Initiate a deep philosophical conversation with another deep thinker. This is why book clubs and things like that can be so much fun for you. I'll mention a little bit more about that soon. Okay, let's look at rest. All right, you tend to have an overactive brain that has a hard time settling down. So I'm going to just say some obvious things, but please think about doing them if you're not already. Okay, number one, turn off all screens, all electronic devices an hour before bed. Science tells us that these things way overstimulate our brains, okay? Read something spiritual or uplifting instead, or even just sit in front of a comedy with your spouse or somebody. I mean, some of it's kind of, crude, but find things that are calming for you. Get off the devices if you can, okay? We can go to the Bible, a life of a saint, a classic novel, anything else you find relaxing, okay? Something simple. Number two, because you're always up in your head, this is your natural way. If this is a really dominant category for you, before you go to bed, stretch or take a hot shower or both, or diffuse some essential oils. Think about using your senses to get grounded in your body again, so that you're not just in your head, that you're in your body and you can start to release tension, right? Get out of your head, back into your body before you go to bed. Right? All right, number three, listen to some calming music or run some white noise in the room so you're not mentally stimulated by random sounds in your environment. You're imaginative. So that means if you hear a sound, your mind's immediately going to start solving the problem of what that is, what caused it. Is there any danger? Is there something I need to take care of? Oh, that reminds me. So it can help to calm your environment auditorily for you big thinkers, okay? All right, number four, start every day with something that stimulates your creativity. This is a real need for strategic thinkers, some creativity. And I say start your day, but it could be the middle of your day. Just make sure it's not at bedtime, like journaling, drawing, playing an instrument, or listening even to a stimulating podcast. That way you're less tempted to do those things late at night when you need to quiet your active mind. Okay, so if you have a need to do those things, find another time to do it. Don't do it at bedtime. It's going to rev you up. All right, let's look at diet. Number one, take some quiet time to imagine a healthier you in every detail. Like really sit with this. What would a healthier me be like? Go deep in picturing yourself making healthy choices and how it would change the way you feel. How would it change your life? Answer the question, what would better health do for my life? Okay, use that deep thinking, imaginative brain of yours. Once, if you can start to really think it and imagine it, all action starts in your thoughts. Every action begins with some kind of a thought or a gut response. You are intellectual. Take your thoughts where they need to go to prepare you to do the things you need to do for your health, okay? Number 2, actions start in the mind again, and strategic thinkers often gain clarity through verbal processing. This is so true. Lots of people who are deep thinkers need to talk out loud to get clear or write things down. So talk out your health goals with a close friend or a trained coach and work on improving the way you think about diet. Okay? Mindset can be really important here. Okay? Number 3, analyze the habits. You're an analytical person, so analyze the habits in your life that need to change for you to succeed. Really think this through. Just look at the whole thing and brainstorm the potential outcomes of those needed changes. In other words, if I just got up a little bit earlier and did some exercise, or if I, whatever it might be, think about the habit changes and what the outcomes would be. Strategic thinkers are really good at projecting out to outcomes. So take time to analyze and project. That can take you to a more motivated place, get you more specific about what you're trying to accomplish. All right, number 4, put a plan together that excites you and tell others about it. You'll benefit from some accountability. In other words, because you're so strong in your head, you can live your life in your head and be disconnected from other people. Share your plans. It's very well known that when people share their plans, they're much more likely to carry them out. We need accountability. We need to know somebody else knows that we intend to do it. It helps. Okay, number 5, change things up by ramping up your creativity in meal preparation so you're not bored. You could take a cooking class. You can even watch YouTube videos. My husband watches Instagram videos and he does all sorts of cool things in the kitchen as a result. Try a new cuisine, prepare a food you've never eaten before, shake things up a little bit. Okay? Because people who are high in strategic thinking like a lot of variety. All right, let's look at exercise. Number 1, delve into the latest research on health and fitness. Use your head, right? Including the latest theories, new forms of exercise, equipment, and gyms. Evaluate exercise options to carefully analyze and choose what's best for your unique goals and body type. And you might think about age, condition, health issues. Okay, use that great brain of yours to start thinking, what would a unique plan look like that would fit me? Number 2, find new ways to incorporate intentional movement into your daily life. The creative challenge will be satisfying for you. In other words, if you're picking up a laundry basket, do a squat or a plie, as some of us who have had dance training might think, do a plie. Taking the stairs at work, the obvious one, or if you work remotely, try taking dance breaks instead of scrolling through social media or just sitting back or, if you need to close your eyes for a few minutes, fine, but start to work in some movement. Do something fun, something that attracts your heart. Number 3, whatever you do, make sure you incorporate variety into your plans to keep your efforts from getting stale. Feel free to change it up, but don't start doing something and then just stop because you just stopped. Try to stick with it, and that's why accountability can really help. All right, final category, the much neglected play. All right, let's use that mind, okay? All right, research and plan your dream vacation, pilgrimage, or your dream home, or a retreat that you've always wanted to take. Plan it in detail. Even if you're not able to act on the plan immediately, just the fun of visioning it out will refresh your spirit. That's number 1. Okay, number 2, your brain is not just made for work. So spend time in the creative pursuit of your choice. Again, writing, painting, composing, taking photos, whatever that might be. Okay, so number 3, try attending a conference where you can learn more about something you love or something completely new that's just intriguing to you. Go and be with other learners. Just learn. Go someplace even away from home if you can. Just be like a vacation to make your brain happy. All right, and the next one is join a book club that focuses on an area of personal interest so you can have great conversations, again, with like-minded people. You hear that theme recurring a lot, right? That's very energizing for people like you. And finally, let's see, is this the last one? Yes. Plan creative ways to bring people together to learn something new. So this can be really fun. It can put your planning mind and your creativity to work and help you in all sorts of ways, including having fun and your relationships. So bring people together like a scavenger hunt around town. If you have historical sites that they can visit and end up somewhere, maybe a historical tavern or something for a nice cold beer or something together, or have a costume party that's based on a historical period, or have people come as their favorite literary characters with one of their books and have everyone share a reading from it. Like, really let your imagination run wild into what would be a playful use of knowledge, of learning, of planning. Okay? You getting the idea? All right. So I'm sure these initial thoughts are generating some unique and very likely much better thoughts of your own. I'd love to hear some of them if you want to write to me. So jot them down, pray with your notes, pick some things to try, get them on your planner. You're a planner. Don't just think about them. All right. You can get stuck in your head. Remember, do them. Make a plan and stick with it. And remember that you learn as you try things. Strategic thinkers are always learning. So feel free to adapt and course correct your plans as you go. That's not the same as giving up on a plan. If you're noticing, oh, wait a minute, there's a better way to do this. Now that I've started doing it, I think I'll change this or change that. That's part of how you operate, right? Okay, so reach out if you have any questions. I'm happy to help. Let's end as we began in the Word of God. This is Proverbs 2, chapter 2, verses 1 through 6. My son, if you receive my words and treasure my commands, turning your ear to wisdom, inclining your heart to understanding. Yes, if you call for intelligence, and to understanding raise your voice. If you seek her like silver, and like hidden treasures search her out, then will you understand the fear of the Lord. The knowledge of God you will find. For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. So good. All right. See you next week when I'll take you through the same process again with the domain called influencing. All right, my friends, thanks so much for being with me. Remember, you are wonderfully made. God bless you. I'm praying for you. Please pray for me too.